Below superstars, there are stars. Stars that, in their own right, have the talent like superstars. Have that something that sets them apart from ordinary players. That's something that captivates a basketball fan like me and yourself to their game. People like the TMACs, Vince Carters, and of course, the modern day TMAC, Paul George. Paul George is one of the most aesthetically pleasing players ever. And for whatever reason, he is continuously increasing in popularity. If you go on TikTok or watch NBA highlights, you will see him pop up 9 times out of 10. Like I stated previously, he has just one of the smoothest games ever. And when he hits shots and gets hot, just get ready for every play to be a highlight. Of course, it wasn't always like this. This is Paul George, modern day T-Mac. For 2 years, Paul George played for the Fresno State Bulldogs. In those 2 seasons, Paul George would show off his talents on a bigger stage. An excellent free throw shooter, incredible defender. With his build, anyone trying to go past him would be in for a bad night. Unfortunately, it would never contribute to winning, as the Fresno State program was trying to drag itself out of a low point. When PG would tell a radio broadcaster, Randy Rosenblum, that he would declare for the NBA draft, he was met with the words, "You're not ready." This was the same thing that the community of Fresno thought, but that was what people liked about Paul George. He was unpredictable, on the court or off the court. So, did he get drafted? Well, not only did he get drafted, he got drafted number 10 by the Indiana Pacers. This was the biggest stage he said he belonged on, and he proved everyone wrong. Now was his chance to perform in a team that was slowly getting things together. As a rookie, Paul George was great defensively. However, it was the other areas that needed polishing. Offensively, from the outside, PG was so bad shooting-wise, people would just leave him open, prompting a teammate to tell him to swing the ball, in which Paul George would respond, "I'm open," which would then result in one of the most disrespectful responses. "Why do you think you're wide open?" He would start 19 out of his 61 games, and the team of Danny Granger, Roy Hibbert, Lance Stevenson, and the gang would achieve a 37-45 win, which would have them face the Chicago Bulls led by MVP D Rose, who Paul George would have to defend. And while PG would go on to say he thought he was doing good, he would look up and see that D Rose was scoring 40 points. It's 40 points. Let's see the Pacers go out in 5 games. And while it seems sour, PG had some accolades already to show for it, and the team had potential. All they needed to do was figure it out. This season would be an improvement for Paul George as he increased his stats and helped the Pacers win a playoff series against Orlando. But quite unfortunate for them, they had the big 3 Miami Heat waiting for them, and surprisingly they made it a Game 6 fight and once again were sent home. But it was clear the future was bright for Indy. Next season was probably the peak of the Pacers during the Paul George time. Once again, Paul George would improve offensively and would win in the first round against the Atlanta Hawks in 6 and contain the Carmelo-led Knicks, once again winning a 6-game series, and had another go at the Miami Heat. And while they were much closer, still no win. However, all they needed was one push, and a championship was well in their grasp. All we need to do now was add more. They traded Danny Granger. Danny Granger was getting traded, and it was a step down, as he was a veteran presence and helped Indy keep it together when times were tough. However, without him there, the team started to lose direction. You could see it in the interviews, the games, and in the players that Danny kept everyone in check and kept their confidence up high. Losing him was one of the first dominoes in the inevitable PG 2017 offseason trade. But once again, this team would go out to the Miami Heat, and once again, another unfortunate event would happen. Everybody who knows basketball knows what I'm talking about. Paul George is competing for a roster spot in the FIBA World Cup while trying to get a chase down block, snaps the lower half of his leg in half, and the footage is way worse than I imagined. But without a doubt, this would sideline PG for a while. He wouldn't be able to play the next season until late April. A lot of the original roster had changed or deteriorated entirely and completely lost direction. Rather than play team ball, they would just play iso ball and take really bad shots, and would fail to recreate any playoff success similar to the previous 2 years, once losing to the Raptors and then getting swept by Cleveland in the following years. Things were looking bad. Paul George thinking, maybe we should add a fellow power forward. Nope, okay, we won't do that, I'm out. Paul George would then go and suit up with OKC Thunder led by Russell Westbrook and Carmelo. And it was here that we saw a new Paul George, the new PG-13. That sounded way better in mine. For the Thunder fans, this looked great. Paul looked like he was an MVP candidate and seemed like he was ready. This is the best Paul George has been in both ends. Some of the best highlights of his career came from from these 2 years. So does this mean the big three? Well, next year hopefully it isn't bad. After the shot by Dame, PG said that Russ and PG had effectively run their course with Thunder and that they don't want to win the championship and desired to go elsewhere. Where was elsewhere? It was the sunny side of Los Angeles, the Clippers, where he would join Kawhi Leonard and form the duo that most people believed would win a championship. The duo of Kawhi and PG proved to be way more than successful, as PG would win his first playoff series in a while in a battle against Dallas. It seemed that Playoff P was back and now had firepower in his teammate, the Claw. In the second round, they would face the up-and-coming Nuggets, which heartbreakingly they would lose in 7. The duo of Kawhi and PG proved to be successful. If they could just stay healthy and put it together, the sky could be the limit, and next year proved just that. Paul George and Kawhi would once again make the playoffs as they would face the Mavs again, a series that would show that Dallas was getting way better, but still not enough as the Clippers would make a Game 7 win, and then would advance past the Utah Jazz in 6. Finally, Paul George made it past the second round once again for the first time in a while. He could finally settle some unfinished business. However, the team they were facing, the Phoenix Suns, were unfortunately the better team, bouncing out the Clippers in 6. The Clippers have proven it though. All they needed was 2 or more pieces, and then Paul George and Kawhi Leonard were both out of rotations, facing several injuries, and were eliminated from the play-in by the Wolves. Paul George would once again return and played 56 games in the 2022-23 season and would help the Clippers get a 44-38 record, making the playoffs. However, would suffer a knee sprain, ruling him out of the first round, in which the Clippers would lose against Phoenix. This season, they had added several pieces. James Harden, PJ Tucker, I guess. This team looks stacked to win a playoff series. So, would this be a good season? Well, let's just say Luka and Dallas would bounce them out once again, and Paul George wouldn't return in the Clippers uniform. Paul George, in many ways, is a modern-day TMAC. In the way they effortlessly make buckets, to chucking up bad shots. Really, one of the differences is playoff success. But whether or not Paul George wins a ring, Paul George will probably still be remembered more than players like Chris Bosh, as his game-winning rhythm is so smooth. Whenever I get bored and I don't have anything better to do, I look up Paul George clips or TikTok edits of Erykah Badu in the background and watch greatness. Paul George is one of the most talented players in the NBA. Unfortunately, injuries robbed him, and we will probably never see the same PG that was in OKC. Like I said though, either way, so down as a legendary play. Either way, PG will so go down as a legendary player in a lot of players' minds. He is definitely one of my favorite players aesthetically wise. Anyways, I saw that feedback on that Kyrie video. Thank you guys. Dame Lillard video next. Peace.